What is the most effective psychological trick you use? When you're talking to someone, they will naturally fill silence. It's subconscious. If you want them to keep talking, keep your own mouth shut. This is useful if you're ever in a verbal altercation. One that I picked up from a friend of mine whenever he was trying to pick out dinner with his GF. Rather than ask, "What do you want?" and getting the typical, "I dunno, anything," answer and then having suggestions shut down. Start with, "What do you not want?" Used it a few times in some of my relationships and it's the godsend question. I work front desk in a medical office. Patients hate updating their paperwork. I used to say, "Look through the pages and make any changes." They would groan and reluctantly take the paperwork, or just complain about it. Now I say, "All you have to do is make changes." Saying it that way makes them think it's not much to do and they take the clipboard without complaint. It's the little things that make life at my office easier. Saying hello to everybody you know, and with a smile. Often people who know each other from when they were in primary school or just from the block when they were young give each other an awkward smile instead of an happy good day. Just imagine, if someone walks into you twice a year and both times you smile and greet them enthusiastically, they will think of you as a nice person. So little effort for a person to find you friendly. This isn't something I've used, but I think it's worth sharing. Darren Brown said that once there was a muscly drunk guy that wanted to beat him up and said the classic, "What are you looking at?" Darren replied with, "The wall outside my house is 4 feet tall." The idea is that it puts the aggravated person on the back foot and takes them out of that adrenaline-filled state. Anyways, he sat down and the guy started crying to him about his GF. He is Darren Brown though, so I wouldn't recommend this to everyone. Think of my future self. 1. How will my future self feel in an hour or 2 if I skip my gym session? 2. Will my future self be happy if I do this pile of dishes now, before bed? Or would he prefer to have to do it in the morning, before work? 3. I have a 3-month deadline on this project. Will my future self appreciate my current self taking the first 3 or 4 weeks easy? Or will he be really pissed off? Essentially delayed gratification. Pretty much all the bad stuff gives us instant gratification, while all the good stuff has delayed gratification. I always try to remember that. If I have to wait to reap the rewards, then it's probably the best option. To avoid workplace drama and be well liked is to just compliment people behind their back. IDK if this is an actual thing or not. Or maybe just distractions. But when I do something annoying or bothersome to my husband and he goes quiet, I wait a few minutes and then I ask him a seemingly innocent question, usually on the subject of how certain parts of a car works, or something mechanical. This gets him talking about the car thing and he rambles for like 5 minutes and then bam, he's happy again and not quietly brooding. I'll never tell him I do that because I'm afraid it won't work anymore if he knows about it. It's foolproof though. It works every single time, no matter how bothered he is. Set expectations low and blow people's minds with my mediocrity. Listening to someone without giving advice or pushing for more information typically nets me more information than being pushy for it. When somebody's shy of speaking, if you look at them and nod your head, it encourages them to keep talking. I'm a professional poker player. When I am in a pot with one other player, I often try to make them laugh when they are thinking about what to do. If you can get them to laugh, it sets them in a mood where they are unlikely to bluff. I talk a lot in general. It's very common to make jokes at the table even in hands. Music. Putting headphones in and playing the music that I know I'd want to hear if I was in the mood that I want to be in shifts me over to that mentally, and really helps when I need to calm down or when I need to feel happier. In an argument, find something to agree on, then push your main point. When you are standing in a group and somebody tells a joke or something funny happens, people tend to look towards the person they like the most while laughing. My wife calls this the simplest, most manipulative thing I do. Whenever I bump into an acquaintance, meaning not friend, just a person I know, I of course say hi and the conversation goes like this. Me. Hey, how are you? Name. You look good. Them. Laugh. Thank you. I'm good. How are you? Me. I'm great. I'm on the way to wherever I am going to at the time and I tell them why too. So what are you doing here? Them. Go into same detail to tell me where they're going and why. Me. Alright, well I won't keep you up any longer than I have. Have a good day. Name. It leaves people feeling good, takes away the awkwardness of cutting a convo short, and it makes them want to leave. If someone says they have the hiccups, ask them to prove it. 9/10 times, their hiccups will disappear. Having to summon a hiccup in order to demonstrate will trick your diaphragm into just not hiccuping. I've been able to twist it around on myself with some success as well. But it takes practice. You realize you have hiccups. Then, try to hiccup. Actively try to make yourself do another one. It'll stop. If you need to de-escalate someone and get them to communicate, asking questions about numbers, personal information. I work in emergency services. If someone is totally distraught and shut down, asking their phone number, address, SSN, birth date can pull them out of the emotional place and bring them back to a headspace where they can talk about what happened more easily. I often ask these questions even after I have the information just to de-escalate. Anyone here reading through the posts for the sake of using them in the future, but an hour later you forget everything you've just read? I work with a bunch of idiot lawyers and I use the phrase, "You're correct," all the time. Even if it's one teeny tiny thing they're correct about, it makes them feel smart and they instantly soften. It also keeps them listening because they're hoping more flattery will come down the pike. Evil cackle. Thanking someone for a trait you want from them. Instead of telling a customer you're sorry for their wait, tell them thank you for your patience or understanding. Works wonders. My youngest, 4, got into the why phase a little while back. Read an article that said the best way to get them to stop was to ask them, "I'm not sure. What do you think?" It is a godsend. They answer their own question. You provide some feedback, "Sounds good to me," and they immediately move on. Frocking awesome. When I ask someone a question and their first response is, "What?" I just stare at them for a few seconds. And 99% of the time they answer my question without me having to repeat myself. I think it's just a subconscious reflex people have to ask, "What?" instead of answering what you've asked even when they've heard you clearly. Instead of arguing, I start off by agreeing and then state my point of view after addressing the other person's point. Always ends in a positive interaction. Edit. The idea is to show respect for what the other person thinks, assuming that the person isn't a complete moron. They more than likely have a valid point. Rather than shutting the person down and telling them they're wrong, you listen to them. Then after hearing them out, you can bring up your own point of view. The goal is to have a respectful exchange of opinions rather than a flat-out argument where two people flat-out don't agree with each other and leave each other without learning anything from one another. When you need to find out a name, e.g. for a lead, you say, "Oh, is John still managing up there?" They go, "No, it's Mark now." Works with anything. Just use a fake, single quote. "Is that your Focus outside?" "What?" "No, mine's the Ferrari." Whenever I know somebody is holding some truth from me, I'll look at them and stay silent. No nodding, no acknowledging, just looking. The silence usually brings out the truth or extra detail. If they squirm around a bit, you know there's something they have exaggerated, etc. Be direct and personal when you need things. Instead of asking if anyone has an EpiPen, ask WHO has an EpiPen. Instead of saying someone, call 911, point to someone, say, "You in the blue jacket, what's your name?" "Tom." "Okay Tom, go call 911 and come tell me when they are in the way." I can't remember. My wife's a psychologist and I lost all my superpowers of manipulation of time and space. Playing dumb gets you out of a lot, but not too dumb. Don't say, "It's okay." When someone apologizes, say something like, "Thank you for apologizing." If someone needs to apologize to you, then it was something that isn't okay. My mom teaches this to her kindergartners and it really does make a difference. Opens doors for growth and conversation too. "Thank you for apologizing. I don't like it when you hit me," or whatever. Edit. This blew up. I'm almost 23 but tempted to watch Daniel Tiger. Mostly because he was the only puppet from the land of make-believe that didn't scare me. And thank you for the silver. Wow. I recently read that saying, "You're right," instead of "I know," makes you look less like an asshole and doesn't diminish something someone else may have just found out. I think it's pretty effective at not letting you look like a total ass. Edit. Wow. Inbox boom. Thanks for all the replies. I'll try to answer a few of them if necessary. Don't be sad if I don't answer. I still like you. If you hand something to someone, they will take it. It's a lot of fun. Edit. My first Reddit silver. Thanks. I currently manage around 240 people between 6 restaurants. It is often hard to get them to do what is needed. I have found saying, "I need your help," is sufficient to get them on board. People want to feel needed and like they are making a difference. Expressing to them as much makes all the difference in the world. If you need to remember something, think about it while doing something noticeably unusual. This will pair the memory with the something, so that when it is noticed later on it will trigger that particular memory. E.g., I need to take out the garbage before going to bed. Put your pillow at the foot of your bed. I have to work with kids a lot. Having a summertime job, where I volunteer to assist counselors at a camp for service hours and having 5 younger siblings. Don't tell them not to do something. If I told you, "Don't think about unicorns," you'll immediately think about unicorns for the split second I say it. If I instead said, "Think about turtles," you'll think about turtles for at least that split second I said it. Don't tell a kid not to something. Rather tell them to do something else. Instead of, "Don't hit your sister," say, "Let's play a nice game with your sister." That way you don't put the idea into their mind that you don't want them doing it, which, in their childish manner, fuels the fire to do it more. Instead of asking, "Do you have any questions?" I ask, what questions do you have? The first almost always results in silence. And the second lets people feel comfortable to ask questions. Edit. Thanks for the silver kind stranger. I ask small favors and publicly thank people for their help, recognize their contributions and genuinely appreciate them. Nobody ever frocking noticed that I also stopped coming in on Fridays about 18 months ago. When someone starts making fun of you, you make fun of yourself in a more clever way. If the person is doing it for attention, it wrestles the attention away from them if you're more funny than they are and gives them negative feedback towards making fun of you going forward. It doesn't always work because some people do it purely for self-enjoyment. But at least it will be clear pretty fast that the person is a piece of shit, which comes with its own social drawbacks. So in the end the person has the choice between getting outdrawn or looking like a bully. I pretend to be really bad at lying, so when I do have to lie it is super effective. Don't apologize, thank them. When you're delivering food that's taken a while to cook, don't say, sorry for the delay. Say, thanks for your patience. Saying sorry focuses on your fault. Thanking focuses on their good quality. When someone is being rude during a conversation with me, I consistently flick my gaze toward their forehead or chin and watch the confidence seep from their face after about 10 seconds. Give kids 2 choices instead of letting them pick from whatever you control. Could be 2 points of time. Like, now, or in 10 minutes. Or do you want the red or the blue shirt on? Things like that. Works wonderfully. They feel in control, but have absolutely no control. Can work with some adults too. I'm not sure this counts as a psychological trick, maybe more of a mindset change. But I'll share anyways. I regularly get bored and play video games for hours. Or resort to wandering around the kitchen looking for food I wasn't even hungry for. Now, whenever I get bored, I try to force myself to do something productive. Whether that be washing a few dishes, playing with my cats, taking a shower, go for a walk. You get the drift. It's helped with my depression a bit, because I feel like I accomplished something rather than just sitting around boredom eating. If I desperately need to poo and I'm on my way to the bathroom, e.g., driving home or walking to one, I'll imagine it in my mind as being really far away. This stops the urgency and I find I can get there calmly. When I had something important to say to my kids, I would say it very quietly so that they would listen. They were immune to my yelling, but whispering got their attention. Personality mirroring. At this point it's pretty well known, but I've been using it for a few decades and has a special spot for me because I came up with it, and was probably the 3 billionth person to come up with it. Flip a coin if you can't decide something, and then follow whether or not you feel happy or disappointed with the result that it gives you. If a child tells you they're afraid of a monster in a closet, instead of telling them there is no monster, ask them to describe the monster and what they think the monster is doing there in the first place. Then ask how to get the monster to leave. It will help them alleviate their fear far more effectively than instinctively trying to tell them there is no monster. 2 tricks I use for myself. 1. This one's inspired by the show Unbreakable Kimmy Schmidt. Basically, if I have a difficult task, I tell myself to just try really hard for 30 seconds. 30 seconds isn't much after all. I can literally hold my breath many times longer. Once that 30 seconds is up, I reset and tell myself to try really hard for another 30 seconds. I mean, it's just 30 seconds. YouTube. Watch. V equals XSX3KG1 HISC. 2. Another thing that helps when I have a long task is to visualize myself being already done with the task, and pretending that what I'm experiencing is just my future self reminiscing. It's kind of trippy. Reminds me of the movie Arrival. When writing a Reddit comment or even a normal comment, do not write it in big unstructured paragraphs. Always break it down into tiny paragraphs. It will psychologically be a less of a hassle to read and people would go through it rather than not. Also always use a TLDR. I grab the barf bag on the airplane whenever some is hogging the armrest or to chatty. Works every time. I work in an office. When people stop by my desk and refuse to leave me alone, I will get up and refill my water bottle while they are talking to me. Instead of walking back to my desk, I walk them to theirs. They instinctively will sit down. Then I just sever the convo and get back to work. Edit. Holy shit, this blew up. Thanks for the gold and silver kind internet peoples. I stopped apologizing for things that I didn't have control over and stopped saying thank you for things that don't need gratitude. It makes for much stronger and more empowered conversation without coming across as a jerk. I have chronic pain and interact with a lot of medical offices and staffs. I'm pretty sure this would work for most people if I need someone to go above and beyond, but it's still in their control to help me. I usually say something like, "Hi, this is X. I'm a patient of Dr. Y. She asked me to do Z and I could really use your help. It's probably below your pay grade, but could you help me? Last minute or difficult request. I don't know when I stumbled into that wording, but when you treat people like they're important and knowledgeable, they often over-deliver. When I want someone to like me more, I'll ask them to do me a small favor. Psychologically, people will often convince themselves that they like you as a way to justify their investment in a favor or the expenditure of energy in your behalf. Have a toxic person you need to try and get through to without calling them out directly and risk bearing the brunt of their meltdown? Tell a story about how some annoying idiot behaves in a certain manner, citing the toxic person's behavior here, and how frustrating, pathetic, lame, etc. it is. The toxic person's ego will take over and they will tone down that behavior. Works like a charm. Also, it's safe, because they're narcissists and couldn't fathom that their behavior is frustrating. So they won't make the link and figure out what you're doing. I psychologically trick myself into thinking my problems aren't that severe by simply avoiding them. It's been working for years. This is dumb and shouldn't work. But I'm a bartender. And if I ask someone if they want another drink and nod my head at the same time, most people are inclined to do it. If I am panicking or close to it, I think, I'm panicking. That won't help. If I'm procrastinating, I think, I'm procrastinating. And it helps me stop. Basically, by telling myself how I'm behaving, I can get a handle on the behavior. This could be considered me helping other people out. But I've found this trick when making the tea and coffee round in my work. Lots of people in my office have disgusting amounts of sugar in their hot drinks, like 4 to 6 teaspoons. So I've started to make these people's drinks in red cups because people associate the color red with sweetness and reducing the amount of sugar in their drinks to like 1 or 2. They haven't noticed yet, and I usually make the rounds because apparently I make a good cup of tea or coffee. It's not evil and has no benefit really to me. I just like the fact I can trick people's sweet tooth. Frock you sugar. This will get buried, but when I quit smoking I left 1 cigarette in a pack in my car. I called it my last cigarette. I never told myself I was quitting. I was going to save my last one for when I really wanted it. I was a pack a day for 10 years and I'm 4 months smoke-free this month. I still haven't quit. I'm just saving my last one. If you're looking for an answer to something on the internet, don't form it as a question. Do it as an ill-informed response. Example, don't ask, "What does 2 plus 2 equal?" No one will bother to respond. Instead, say with confidence that 2 plus 2 equals 5. You'll get hundreds of comments correcting you. The highest upvote likely the best answer. Saying, "Thanks," instead of, "Please." We got taught this in teachers' college. For example, "Put your phone away please." Makes it sound like they have a choice or you're waiting for a reply. "Put your phone away. Thanks." Makes it sound like they don't have a choice and you have already finished the conversation, so they're less likely to answer back. "Tell me about your day." Instead of, "How was your day?" I do it when I really want to chat with a person and not get the usual, "It's been okay." Then nothing out of them after that. Heard it on Reddit a while back and I am amazed at how well it works. You get some info out of the person that you can maybe relate to, or help with, or share similar ideas, stories. My so suffers from OCD, so I've learned to accommodate that. Especially when we plan trips away from home. Did we lock the door? Yes. Remember I did jazz hands in a circle after? Did we turn the stove off? Yup. You watched me sing Twinkle Twinkle Little Star while I did it. Doing something really unusual to help trigger a memory for something you do regularly helps them calm down and not obsess over that thing. Helps you be more confident assuring them you did the thing. Pro tip. Don't use this often or the memory tricks won't be as helpful. Save it for when you know you'll need it. Whenever I'm walking through a crowd, I always look at my destination while being aware of my peripherals. Most people will pick up on your body language and avoid running into you. Just don't forget to keep an eye out for rude people who will run right into you because they were too busy oogling their phone screens. When I first meet people, I tell stories that involve other people talking to me or that involve an inner monologue. That way I can repeat my name in the story, as the other person has already likely forgotten it. This spares them the embarrassment of having to ask my name again.